scratch babble. Unbelievable. All I can say is it's been unbelievable. I've shot this vlog twice. Both times, half on the bike, riding to a destination. It was the Armament Museum, where they have the aircraft outside and everything, and really cool displays on the inside. And then the other half was on my phone here. Twice I've shot this vlog, and twice my GoPro Hero 6 has done this to me. Checked the audio both times. The first and second time I vlogged, hooked everything up, recorded, popped it out, put it in the, everything worked fine. As soon as I started vlogging on the bike, that's what I got. So how did I fly in an F-16? Well, in 2005, I was an Honorary Commander for the 29th TSS at Eglin Air Force Base, Training Services Squadron. Lieutenant Colonel Scott Salmons was my commanding officer. I was his Honorary Commander. And it was in, I think it was the 49th Wing out at Eglin. And as an Honorary Commander, and with my position in radio, I was asked to do this. It's supposed to foster good relations between the civilian community and the active duty community, to give each other a glimpse of what it's like in each other's world. Served for a year, and in being the representative of the 29th, I had a number of functions that I had to do throughout the year. But I also got what's called an incentive ride in an aircraft. And typically, they're done in an F-15, which is a two-seat plane, 2 engines, canopy. Pardon me. It's like we're getting ready for a wedding or something around here. I'm not sure what's going on. So anyway, the canopy on an F-15 comes down, just about your shoulders. Cool. So you're sitting inside this thing, and it's a big aircraft and for a fighter, and so it's substantial. So here's the thing. I'm terrified of flying. Don't give me any shit. I know it's irrational, but I'm terrified of flying. And the thought of going up in an F-15 wasn't the most exciting thing. But luckily, my commander, Slam, or Lieutenant Colonel Scott Salmons, he had never been up in a fighter, and I thought, you know what, when the day comes, when they give me my due date, I'm going to defer my ride to him so he can go up. He's happy. He's never flown in a fighter. I'm happy. I don't have to fly in a fighter. And it's all good. We're all good to go. Well, as they finally set the date and we met, and he's telling me when my flight's going to be and everything, I'm, very proudly go, Slam, I want you to take my incentive ride. I know you've never been in a fighter. I want to, please allow me to do this for you. I hope you enjoy your ride in your F-15, and I'll be just happy here on the ground, and I'll sure I'll do some other cool things along the way, but this is all yours. And he's shaking his head before I even get finished. He goes, no, you don't understand. The wing commander does all the incentive rides. He's an F-16 pilot, and you're going to be flying in his F-16. And I can't take that ride. No way. It's your ride. You're going up. And good luck. Well, Colonel Coots was his name, was an F-16 pilot. F-16 is a little bit smaller jet. It only has 1 engine, and it's affectionately known as the lawn dart, because typically when they flame out, they go straight down. So it was the F-16D to be specific, because it had a back seat. It was a trainer. So I'm like, okay, great. This is just wonderful. So from that day, up until the day of the flight. I had to do a few things. I had to get fitted for a flight suit. I had to open emails every day from another honorary commander who knew I was terrified of flying, showing me pilots ejecting out of F-16s sideways, upside down, right side up, on takeoff, on landing, crashed F-16s, burnout hulks of F-16s. He's emailing me this stuff over the course of the weeks leading up to my flight. Somewhere along the line, I decided, you know what, I'm going to do this. I'm going to get my head right and I'm going to do this. I believe it was the day before, 2 days before the flight, I had to go for something called egress training. I didn't know what that was, but it's like, all right, cool. And they said it's just like an emergency, safety briefing in case there's an emergency. I'm like, okay. So I go, and I'm sitting in a little, just like a cockpit, a mock-up cockpit for my egress training. And very nice airman is saying, okay, this is all about learning what happens if you have to eject out of the plane. I'll teach you how to eject over land and over sea, and then there's one more thing I'll talk to you about. And I went, okay. So if we have to eject over land, there's a certain way you do things with your equipment. If you eject over water, a certain way you do things with your equipment. And then I was told to be about 35 minutes or so, and we were right at that, so I thought we were done. He goes, and there's one more thing, though, I have to tell you. See, if the pilot gives the command to eject, he goes, eject, eject, eject. You pull your arms in, and then you pull the lever between your legs, and you both go flying out of the jet. Well, the airman doing my egress training says, if the pilot gives the command, eject, 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 and he ejects from the aircraft and you pull your lever and you don't exit the aircraft, there's still some things that you can do. And at that point, he was standing over here, kind of to my right. I turned my head and I went, really? Like, kiss my ass goodbye? And he said, I'm sorry, I've got to give you all the training. I went, okay. So I half listened to the rest of the training, because I think we all know that if that scenario had happened, I wouldn't be here talking to you right now, because I probably would have stroked out right then and it would have been all over. So I finished my training. It's the day of the flight. My ex is there. My son, who was 5 or 6 at the time, is there. They're at the end of the runway. We have our little briefing, Colonel Coots and I, before we head out to the aircraft. And he says, we're gonna do a climb. And then we are going to head out over the Gulf of Mexico, and we're going to break the sound barrier. We're going to hit Mach 1. And then we're going to turn back north, and we're going to go over the Florida-Alabama border, and we're going to do some targeting drills. We're going to do some simulated dogfighting, and we're going to do some simulated ground targets, attack, and pull off. And then we'll head on back to the base. And I was like, all right, let's do this. I'm good to go. So we motor on out to the aircraft, F-16 sitting there, and get out. He does the obligatory walk around, does what pilots do. And then the ladder, for lack of a better term, comes out, and I go up the side of the plane, get in the back seat, and he hooks me up, and I'm feeling good. I mean, I'm doing the thumbs up thing and everything, and I'm good. I mean, I'm psyched. So the canopy comes down. I remembered somebody in the past telling me who had a similar ride, when that happened to them, they felt impending doom. I didn't. I was good to go. Started the plane up, taxi to our takeoff point, and we start taxiing down the runway. And very gently and smoothly, the plane lifts off, and it goes, and gear up. And I'm like, this is awesome. I mean, I am, for the first time in my life, well, I've only been in an airplane twice, but no terror. It's actually pretty awesome. And I'm looking, and I'm ready. And he goes, okay, afterburners in 3, 2, 1. I think I remember when we went like this, but I'm not sure if that's a memory or what somebody told me later. Because frankly, I'm not sure what happened next. Now we switch to me in another location, continuing the story, because the freaking GoPro didn't work. All right, so the rest of the story is on the phone because I need my hands. All right. We're slowly rising up, and it goes, okay, and afterburners in 3, 2, 1. At that point, my head exploded. We are heading straight up. It's an unrestricted climb. We're heading straight up. A buddy of mine who had flown with the Thunderbirds said, make sure whatever you do when you take off, look over your shoulder and watch how fast the ground you leave the ground behind. So I'm trying to look over my shoulder, and all I can see is blue. And I look in front of me, and all I see is blue. And I'm looking back and forth and back and forth. Well, I wasn't turning my head enough, so I'm seeing the Gulf of Mexico and I'm seeing the sky. I think we're spinning out of control. Every warning bell in my brain is going off. I'm about to poop my pants. I'm in no danger of puking or passing out because I'm too terrified. And the terror is overriding anything else. So we climb up. We get up to 15,000 feet. And then we're going. This is upright. He flips us over. And now we're flying this way a little bit, and then flips us back over right side up. I believe it's called an Immelman. I called it hell. Hell on earth. At this point, my head is pounding. I did not puke. I did not scream. I did not holler. I'm laser focused. In an F16D, there's a back instrument panel so that the person being trained can see what's going on with the instruments. I'm laser focused on that instrument panel because I'm too terrified to look outside of my canopy. And as I showed you on the F-15, the canopy comes to about here. On the F-16, it comes down to your waist. So you feel like you're sitting on the aircraft, not in the aircraft. I am terrified to look either left or right. We level off for a while, and he's been calm the whole time. And I finally hear him talking again. He's like, you okay? He may have said that 27 times. I don't know. And I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. So we head out over the Gulf of Mexico, and it's one of those days where there are scattered huge puffy white cumulus clouds, and it's actually beautiful. And we're flying straight and level, and I'm feeling a hair bit better as long as I don't look like out and down, because then I realize I'm sitting in the middle of the air on a supercharged broomstick. So he goes, all right, we're going to break the sound barrier now. We get over the Gulf of Mexico, and he noses down the front of the plane, and he guns it. And on the F-16, there's not a stick in the middle. There's a stick over on the right, and it's like a pressure grip. So small inputs. You're not moving something around like you see in a World War II aircraft movie. So anyway, he noses down a little bit, and he starts counting off the speed to me. And when we hit Mach 1, the coolest thing about that, besides watching the clouds go, we hit Mach 1 and everything got pretty quiet. I mean, you could still hear the engine, but it was like it was behind us somewhere in the distance. It was a hum, where before it was just a screaming whine. It got real quiet, and it got real smooth. And I think we got up to 1.4 maybe. Didn't pull a ton of G's. 1.4 maybe. I know we were 1.4 on the takeoff. Anyway, so we break the sound barrier, and we decide, and I'm like getting into it a little bit now. And so he said, all right, let's head to the range. And so he does a gentle bank, and again, I don't look because I'm seeing death. And we do come out of the bank, and we start heading north, and the cumulus clouds are getting thicker and thicker, so that it's like this solid hundreds of feet deep wall of clouds that we're about to go above. And I'm thinking about what we have coming up, and I'm thinking about how bad the takeoff terrified me. And I said, hey, Colonel, if it's all the same to you, can we just fly straight and level for a while so I can see if I can get used to flying? And he's sitting right in front of me, and he turns his head a little bit, And he says, "You mean you really are afraid of flying?" I went, "Yeah, I'm terrified of flying." He said, "I thought you were just doing that for the show when we were on there." I said, "No, I'm freaking terrified." And he goes, "Then why are you up here?" And I didn't have a really good answer. I mean, I told him, I said, I thought I'd face my fear, which is how I kidded myself to get in the plane in the first place. And he went, "Well," he said, "absolutely. I'll just head north." And I'm like, "All right, fine." So we're up over these clouds, and he's pointing out aircraft below us, and he's pointing out other military aircraft, and we're having little conversations. And he says, "Do you want to take the stick?" And I said, No, I do not want to take the stick. Hey, I know you guys are going to give me shit for this whole video, but you know what? I didn't want to touch anything. I just wanted to try to enjoy being in that aircraft. So we're riding around, and I'm starting to get more and more relaxed, and I'm looking around, and I'm looking around me, and I'm kind of, really starting to relax and get chill, and it's quiet, and it's beautiful up there, sun down on the clouds. And as one of these times, as I'm scanning from left to right, I noticed the colonel has got his elbow on what would be like the windowsill of the canopy, and he's like this, with his left hand reaching across to hold that stick, and he's just flying like bored out of his mind. And I found out later that one of the reasons why the colonel likes to do all the incentive flights is normally he wouldn't get to fly like that. So by doing the incentive flights, he gets to fly more, and he gets to have fun. So I was keeping the colonel from having fun. I didn't even realize I know that till later. So finally he goes, "All right, let's play tag with the angels." And I said, "Okay." And so he took the aircraft, he took the F-16, and he started gently tracing like the outlines of the clouds as we're above the clouds. Just nice and smooth and simple. And I've described it 100 times now as it felt like you were riding a really slow roller coaster in heaven. It was just amazingly beautiful. And now I'm just, I felt like, at the end of the Grinch, when he finally gets de-Grinched and his whole, everything changes instantly. That's what happened to me. Everything just kind of changed instantly. And now I'm like, it's a borderline religious experience. So we fly around for a little bit, and he says, "All right, we need to head back down." So we turn around, we're above the clouds most of the way back. And as we approach the field, he said, "Do you want to try that landing I mentioned?" And one of the things he had mentioned that we could do on return is, it's not called an emergency landing. I forget what it's called. But it's where you actually come into the runway, say this is the runway. Instead of coming in parallel, you come in from the side. It's a way to land faster. You come in from the side, pull a turn, and then set it down. He said, "You want to try one of those landings?" And I said, No, I really don't. Again, I was waiting. He's probably shooting me birds in his brain. So as we now dip through the clouds, the best I've described this way. We get through the clouds, I can see the land again. And because of the whole experience being so euphoric, borderline, we're still over farmland, and the dirt is the brownest brown I have ever seen, and the grass is the greenest green I have ever seen, and the red barn was the deepest, reddest red I had ever seen. Everything was heightened. It was just amazing. So we sat down. There's nobody there to greet us because typically these flights last about 40 minutes. We're done in like 22 because we didn't do all this other stuff we were going to do. So they're hauling ass out there. We're out of the plane and everything, and before the squadron and everybody gets there. And so they, everybody congratulates you. You take a few pictures, and then you go to I don't think it was the officers club, but it was some kind of bar that's there on base, and you do a toast. They asked me what I drank. I said scotch, so they had a bottle of scotch waiting for me, and we all did a shot and did a toast, and it was great. It was just the most amazing thing. And my son Jack, they had been at the end of the runway when I took off, and I said, did you see Daddy go up in the jet? And he goes, oh yeah, I saw that. And he said, and remember the part where you were going and then all of a sudden you went like this? And I went, oh yeah, I remember that. And he goes, when that happened, Mommy said, oh shit. Now, the final piece to this story. Flash forward several months later. And it's Christmas time. And so the squadron has a Christmas party at actually, the 29 TSS was a smaller squadron, and it was actually mostly civilians or training services. They did simulators. I got to do a simulator and all that stuff. It was pretty awesome. And they have a Christmas party at one of the members' houses, a very nice house. I apologize for not remembering his name either. So we get to the Christmas party, and it's very nice, and we're having drinks, we're having hors d'oeuvres, and it's very chill. So the colonel, at one point, makes a little announcement or a little address to the squadron, and we're all standing around, and we're getting ready to do a toast, and we do a toast, and then he goes, "We've got a surprise for something special for someone here tonight." And I don't know, I just had a feeling, and my balls kind of shriveled up and sucked up into my chest cavity. And he goes, "Scratch, your incentive flight just happened recently, and we wanted to commemorate that for you, so we made this little video for you, and wanted to give it to you now, and here you go." So up on this big screen, they start rolling this video. And the videos, you don't see me, thank God Almighty, but all the audio's there. And at the point at which we did the unrestricted climb takeoff, I am making sounds no man should ever make, ever. I mean, it is stark, nearly muted terror. It was so humiliating for me. They're all laughing. Well, of course they are. I mean, a lot of people puke and, like I say, and pass out and everything else, and I didn't, because the terror overrode it all. And then for the rest of the film, they interspersed pictures of the actual flight from the pilot's view with the movie Hot Shots. And they had there was a part in Hot Shots where a guy ends up on the wing of the jet on the fighter and blah, 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 and they had superimposed my name on the helmet. I mean, they went to a lot of trouble, and it was a lot of fun, and somewhere that video exists. I couldn't find it. I've had like 15 moves since then, and I couldn't find it, or I would have incorporated it in this. But at the end of the day, it was an incredible experience. I can't thank Scott Salmons, who we lost touch for a while. He's become he's been watching my videos. He finally commented on one. And the whole time I knew him, and this is before I even had a KLR, I knew I was going to get a motorcycle. I had given up the motorcycle dream. He was here in Northwest Florida for his entire stay on his KLR up at Blackwater. Now he's riding his KLR in the hills of Tennessee and the mountains of Tennessee. And Scott, I hope to come see you, and I hope to come ride with you. And if you ever come this way and can bring your bike, I mean, I can't believe that whole time you had a KLR. I can't thank Scott enough. I can't thank the whole squadron enough. I can't thank the colonel enough. And all the people whose names I'll never know and didn't even know were involved with that day, the ground crew, the people in the tower, the amazing people in our military that go to work every day to keep our country safe. Thank you all. And most especially, thank you to their family members, to their spouses and kids and parents and friends. I know how hard it is when they're gone, and I know what a tough load it is, especially for the wives and the moms to pull it all together in their absence. And thank you all for your sacrifice too. That's it. That's all I got this week. Thank you for watching. Next week, I'm not sure what 3 Minute Thursday is going to be. I do know that a week from yesterday, I'm getting married. So next Saturday, even though I shot a bunch of stuff in advance because I knew this time of year was going to be crazy, maybe a little wedding blurb. But other than that, thanks for watching. Love you, mean it. See ya.